Hey everyone, what's up? Today I'm going to talk about the fifth month of being a dad. Month five went well overall. He's settling into a pretty good routine. My wife and I are, I guess, a little more experienced parents by now, although obviously we're still figuring things out. But it's nice that we understand the basics of what to do, and he's starting to be a little more interactive, which is awesome. So overall, really satisfied with things. The one thing we're worried about is my wife's going back to work really soon, and so we've been trying to get him to feed from the bottle again, like he did when he was like a month or two old, and then we kind of stopped doing that, thinking, oh, he knows how to do this and he can go back to it. But unfortunately, he has decided that he doesn't like the bottle anymore. But I think a big problem is he's starting to like teeth and kind of chew everything, even though his teeth aren't coming in. So he just sees the bottle and munches on it as opposed to actually drinking from it. So he gets a little bit of milk, but maybe 10 or 20% of it actually goes into his mouth, and the other 80 to 90% just kind of falls out and goes everywhere. An interesting thing about his development is he has changed a bit in regards to his color. If you watched my initial videos, you know that my wife is like mixed race from Brazil, and I'm obviously very like Northern European, stereotypically looking. And he originally came out with a skin tone that was closer to mine, but was in between. And he had like dark blue eyes that could have changed to brown or green or other colors, as well as his hair was probably a bit darker than mine, but was kind of straight and more similar to mine than my wife's, which is sort of like she's kind of stereotypically Brazilian and has a mix of like African and Native American as well as Portuguese and a few other things like Southern Asian and just like almost everything in the world. She has a little bit of. So a lot of people said, oh, he can change and he probably will change. But I think what they meant is he would look more like my wife, like his skin would become a little darker, maybe his eyes wouldn't be blue anymore, or his hair would become like curlier or something like that. But he's actually become more similar to me. His hair is actually lightened a little bit, so it's actually a little bit lighter than mine now, and his eyes have become a lighter blue that are almost the same as mine, or maybe even a little bit lighter, and I think they're continuing to lighten. And his skin has also become lighter, so his skin is lighter than mine, almost certainly. It's like, the skin on my thigh that never sees the light of day. Like that's basically what his skin looks like, or maybe even lighter than that. So that's an interesting thing is like kids will change oftentimes, but they don't necessarily become more of a 50-50 of the parents. They can obviously go in the other direction and change and become even more like one of the parents. And so that's what's happened in this scenario. Similar thing with his length. He was born like really in a high percentile, and he's actually become a higher percentile, both in terms of when we go to the doctor and he gets measured, and I measure and weigh him occasionally and things like that too. And I've noticed that. So I just say these as examples where it's like, look, your kid can be completely different than you. It's valid to say that they can change, and in many ways, if they're an extreme outlier in some sort of way, whether that be an outlier for society generally or an outlier for you and your partner and your family genetics, obviously it is more likely that they kind of come back down to average or more similar to the parents, or in between the parents in some way. But that's not always the case. Sometimes they can be totally different from you, and then over time they become even more different from you. So overall, month five has been really good, and thank you so much for continuing to watch the videos and follow me on my journey. And hopefully, I'm giving you some sort of insights and value or entertainment, maybe. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.